Welcome back everyone to more NASCAR Heat 3 coverage here at Knee Pit Gaming. Today's video is all about setting up your Logitech G920 wheel. Now the information that we're going to cover in today's video can apply to other types of wheel, but the Logitech G920 is the wheel that I use, so all of the setup videos and gameplay videos that you see me posting will be using that wheel on the PC. So let's go ahead and get started in setting up our wheel. We'll need to go to the very bottom choice, which is Options, and then Controls, which is the second choice. And then we're going to have three options from here. We're going to look at each of these three. We're going to start out with Controller. And of course, we're using the wheel. Okay, now it brings up our setup, which is the number of degrees of range we have. In our case, it's 900 degrees, and there's really no reason to change this other than what you are currently using for your wheel through the profiler. Now that brings us to the settings screen, the main settings screen, and we start off at the top with steering dead zone. Now, generally you want to leave this all the way to the left, which means no dead zone. There's another dead zone on a different screen that we'll get to a little bit later, but we don't want any dead zone in the center of the wheel. The wheel range, we want to keep this right in the center for our standard 900 degrees. If we move this to the left, then it's actually going to reduce the working range of the wheel. Moving it to the right will try to increase, so essentially try to slow down the steering, which brings us to steering sensitivity. Right in the center is sort of your default, but if you move this to the left, this can actually help you out with small movements around the center line of the wheel. If you are getting some dead zone, even with a setting of 0 above, this could help you out, because what this does is it just slows down the response around the center line. Now, 90-degree turn on your wheel is still going to be 90 degrees in the game. It's just that those first few degrees on either side of center line could be a little bit smoother. So if you're having trouble with a dead zone issue, or the car wandering a little bit on the track on the straightaways, then try reducing that a step or two and see if that helps you out. Brake sensitivity. This is basically how sensitive you want the pedal to be from the moment you first apply pressure all the way through 100% brake pressure. I leave this all the way to the left because I want it to have the standard control, the standard response. But on throttle sensitivity, I do not. And the reason for that is normally I would prefer to leave it all the way to the left, but my pedals for the G920 are not all that good. I'm not very impressed with them. And one of the things I have a hard time with is getting to full throttle and keeping it there. It likes to oscillate between 95 and 100% throttle. Well, in order to make sure that I get full 100% throttle, I simply move up the sensitivity a couple of clicks. In my case, I've moved it up 3. Now what that's going to do is it's going to give me more response earlier in the throw of the pedal, or the travel of the pedal, and it's going to get me to max throttle quicker, so that I've got a little bit of leeway there and make sure that I get to max throttle. So shift type, I'm using paddle shifters. That's what the wheel comes with. I do not have a separate shifter, so I'm not sure how well that works. Now, one final thing to look at the bottom of the screen, and it's easy to miss. You see where it says device features? We're going to press X, and this is where you get your force feedback strength. We're going to leave the impact effects on and the force feedback strength at maximum. Okay, once we've taken care of that, we're going to back our way out, and then we're going to go to configure controls. Now, these are the controls. There has been a lot over the last couple of years, the last couple of iterations of this game. A lot of issues surrounding you could only use a wheel or a controller, you couldn't use the keyboard, and so on. Well, they're trying to remedy that by giving you the option to swap around some controls, and that's what you see on this particular screen. As I scroll down, all of the different actions that I might need to do and how they are mapped. So we'll go ahead and back out of there. We're not going to save anything. We didn't make any changes. And then our final screen is the other settings. Now you see it's got two controllers there for player 1 and player 2 in case you're using the split screen. So what we're going to do here is we've got some options. Fortunately, they're pretty simple for us. Steering all the way to the left means no dead zone. Same thing with the throttle. We want the throttle to respond immediately upon us putting any pressure on it. Same thing with the brake, and we're not using the clutch for our purposes. The only time I might consider using a little bit of a dead zone would be with the brakes. I might move it up a notch or two simply because during some races, particularly at a heavy braking track like Martinsville, I might rest my foot on the brake on the straightaway, and by using a little bit of a dead zone, that will keep it from actually applying any brake until I intend to once I give it more pressure in the corner. And then down below that, you can see player 1 is definitely using the wheel with 900 degrees of range. And then player 2, I don't have anything hooked up, so it's defaulting to the gamepad. Hopefully you find these settings useful. Hopefully the explanations helped you out some in getting your Logitech G920 wheels set up. Thank you very much for joining me, and stay tuned for more coverage of NASCAR Heat 3 here at Knee Pit Gaming.